Welcome, everybody. It's Sunday morning for me, and it's Sunday evening for our next guest. You've recognized him from Warrior, one of my favorite shows ever. You know that as you're watching the show. Please welcome to the program, Kenneth Fok.
Thanks, Alan. Good to be here, and thanks for the invite.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for accepting it. And before we continue on, everybody who's enjoying the show on HBO Max, thank you for watching. But we will have spoilers. So if you have not seen all through the season 2, please be warned. We're going to touch upon things that are yet to come for you. So go at your own discretion. So again, first and foremost, it is great to see you alive and well. For all of our fans, and just to make sure that I get that out of the way, two things. Number one, it's great to see you alive and well, and number two, thank you for saving Penny's life. We really appreciate both.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and I think we barely alive, so to speak, amongst this pandemic. But yeah, it's I hope Penny appreciates it as much as you do.
Uh, well, I know Joanna does. Yeah, I've had Joanna on, so I know Joanna does. Penny, I'm sure, I'm sure does as well. And we got your friend Langley to apologize on behalf of Buckley for doing that to Penny. So I think the circle is complete. Everybody's feeling nice. At least I am. So I appreciate that. Man, we'll get to that particular scene, but just to give people some background, if they're not familiar with your work, and going through your IMDb Pro, I've remembered that I've seen you in a few other places that I didn't quite put two and two together, because I live with you as Jacob for a number of years now. But let's give people a little background. You're in South Africa. People will be surprised with your accent who did not know that. Please let them know how you came before Warrior.
Yeah, I was born and raised in South Africa. My mom was born here. My dad was from China. So yeah, I was born here and worked my way into the industry. I mean, it's been a long slog, still is, but so we're here, and to be on Warrior was just probably the pinnacle so far of my career. It's probably a very unusual line of work to go into for a Chinese South African male. Um, and look, hats off to my parents for letting me do what I want. So hopefully it's paying off dividends slowly but surely. So, and here we find ourselves on Warrior and speaking to Alan.
Yeah, and your family is in the I think vegetable farming business. So was that the expectation that you would kind of continue in the family business, or did they want you to do what a lot of my Asian friends here in the U.S. are doing? A lot of the Jewish boys like me, their parents want them to be, which is a lawyer, a doctor, or something of the matter.
You hit the nail right on the head.
Okay.
So I mean, it's my parents were in the vegetable farming business, and it was a good business to be in. But I think, as any father parent would want, is for their son, daughter, whatever, to take over the business.
Yeah.
I was reluctant to, but I thought, well, let's try it for a year and see what happens, and I did, and I hated it. It's hard work. I'll take my hat off to farmers. It is hard work. It's like taking care of babies. I mean, you have to feed them, and water them, and just nurture it. So I did that for a year, and I said to my dad, thanks, but no thanks. It's just not for me. So I thought, let me find my own way in this world.
Yeah, and for all of us actors that are used to working long hours on set, that's nothing compared to what farmers do on a daily basis.
In a park, acting for 18 hours a day, I'll take that any day. I'll take that. I think that's the beauty of it. I mean, you're an actor, and other actors out there, you can be on set, and at least for myself, I can be 18 hours a day on set, but every single minute of that, I don't like to stick to my trailer. I like to kind of go out and see what's happening, speak to different departments, and just really absorb the magic of filmmaking, because it's magic. There's so many different cogs to this machine that has to work together to, produce this. I mean, in Warrior's case, it's a really well-oiled machine. It's probably one of the best productions I've worked on. So I don't think audiences really realize what it takes to put a project together, let alone a TV series. The last season we were double banking, meaning we're shooting 4 episodes at a time, and it was crazy. And to have all those cogs work together, put something out there that's of this quality, which I'm really proud of, and I know everyone behind the scenes as well as in front of camera is really proud of this series. So it's it's just love being on set.
Yeah, and I guess which set, right? Because you had what, by the end of it you had 3 sets at least that I know of. So you really can just go and get lost with the time that it takes for before you're supposed to be where you're supposed to be. Just go wander around. I know Perry was saying that he was just coming to set and watch just for fun because it was so great.
Exactly, Perry, you hit it. I mean, I agree with them. I remember the one day waiting for my scene to come up, and I took a stroll to Barbary Coast where Sam has his fights, and they were still setting up the set, and they happened to have these huge double doors closed, and I walked there, and the PA came to me and said, "Do you want to come to set?" I said, "Oh, well, why not?"
Yeah.
The doors opened, and it just was this magic world where all the extras were in their costumes, their wardrobe. Set deck had done their bit, and it was just, you were literally transported to another area in an instant. And it was, I'll never forget that moment. So, and it's, I mean, the sets, I think Justin Lin had mentioned that it was, one of the best sets he's ever been on. And I mean, hello, Mr. Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah.
It was really impressive what they did on Warrior.
Yeah, it's amazing, and kind of the whole lighting and the mood and everything kind of changing appropriately. The cinematography is amazing. I'm being a martial arts fan. Obviously, I love the martial arts aspect of it, but it's a drama with martial arts, with a time setting, with very specific topics that unfortunately we're dealing with to this day. Like this, the whole show just doesn't have a weak part in it. It's a really fascinating experience. And from an actor's perspective, we are always trying to get into the character and ground ourselves and really kind of put ourselves in that environment. I would think, I don't know because I haven't been on these types of sets, but I would think it's making your job as an actor easier because the world is around you. All you have to do is just kind of go in there, and then you're there. Is that true, or?
Oh, very true. I've worked on sets where you're working with green screen, and the only green screen I recall seeing was in San Francisco on the streets. I mean, there's one hill that goes up, and the only green screen was for the background. I mean, obviously there's a lot of VFX there, but that was the only VFX that I saw was the green screen in the San Francisco town center, where it was a backdrop. Everything else there, they made it so easy for the actors just to be transported to the late 1800s. And you talk about the quality of the show. I think when I watch a show, and I don't know if it's me being an actor trying to find actors or even people that just stand out for the wrong reasons, and by that I mean even the one-liners. I have to say, you kind of worry, okay, yes, they cast all the principals well and everything. I can tell you now, I've been keeping my eyes and ears open to the day players, to the one-liners, and they spared no expense for getting that right actor for that one line. I mean, they flew in people. They spared no expense to have every part of the cast members, on point, and that I was really impressed by. Because I expected a lot of people, perhaps local actors in South Africa, to fill those parts, because it's expensive to fly over somebody from overseas and have them say one line. But yeah, they brought the best person for that character, no matter how small that character was. So for JT, Shannon, and Justin for really making it top notch. So I was really impressed by that.
You are not the only one. I do this all the time. I was introducing my kids to Coming to America yesterday. So I have a 16 and an 11-year-old, and we said, okay, Coming to America 2 is coming out soon. We're going to watch Coming to America 1. And what I noticed myself, without even thinking about it, is towards the end, as Eddie Murphy is trying to get to Lisa and tell her that he loves her in the train. I'm looking at all of the people standing and seeing if they're actually in the scene or they're not. Like, I'm doing this naturally, so I know that feeling absolutely.
I think that's what it is. One little detail would actually make it stand out so much. Apart from you got great acting, but if that one extra in the background is just not in the moment, it's, focus on that. It's an odd thing. That's for me. I don't know if it's for anyone else.
Same. But it's from a pure acting perspective, it brings up a really great reason and an explanation for those people. Again, if you're not in the acting industry, there are different kind of roles. There is a co-star. That's the one line, under 5. The bigger one is a guest star. Then there are people who are recurring and so on. So and regulars, obviously. So for a co-star, the process of getting that one line on a show is a huge process with thousands of submissions, with you going to an audition, then a callback, then maybe another one. And one would think, why would you care if I'm a cop and I'm telling you, yeah, it happened over there, he went this way, right? Why would they care? It's because of what you just said, because we're in this world and the audience is watching, and if one thing stands out, the whole thing crumbles. That's why.
Exactly. What about the details? Details?
Very cool. So getting to Warrior, specifically. So in season 1, kind of, as your character is established, there's, they see that there's, more than just a kind of a 2-dimensional character. So there is stuff to Jacob, and you're kind of put into the environment where you're among the whites. You're not really accepted, but you are accepted by Penny, and you deal with all of these things, kind of walking between the two worlds. But as it starts to develop, there's more and more that gets onto your character. So my question is, how much did you know about the evolution and the arc of Jacob going into it from the beginning?
To be honest, I didn't know. I mean, second season, we didn't even discuss that. So for me going in, I didn't know what was going to happen in season 2. So it was very much what you described, Jacob being on the front lines of kind of walking the fence on the Chinese side and the Irish or white side. So it was that fine balance that, and I find Jacob was being a lot of the facilitator in that season. You saw him here and there, dealing with Assam's interest in Penny, and he was a bit protective over Penny, to say the least. So yeah, I didn't really know what was going to happen to Jacob up until we started production just before production started on the second season, and I got an email from JT saying, just to let you know, something happened in this season. And it was, if I had to choose anyway to go out, and spoiler alert, but this is the way I would have wanted to go out. It is, when I read the script, I could feel my skin tingling and goosebumps, because just from the way it was written, it had this anger, this fear, this pride, and the suffering. And I just thought, wow, because sometimes from what you read on a script to screen, sometimes it gets lost in between that stage. And I was interested to see how this was going to pan out. And they had spoken about Denny Gordon, who is the director of a couple of episodes and directed Enter the Dragon for us. I was really looking forward to seeing how she was going to approach it. And they were talking about having, Danny's touch on it that could be quite different to the other episodes and making it feel more like a horror, especially that opening scene. So, when I watched the episode, I was just in awe. Not because I was in it, but just as a fan. And the timing of everything, that it had its quiet moments, it had its action moment, it had its, it had everything in that episode. So I was, I don't know anything, just getting back to your question. From
and maybe that's a good thing that they didn't reveal that to you up front. But that, going to that particular episode and building up to the scene, there was this, it kind of felt inevitable. And during a part of it, you suddenly realize, or I'm talking for me now, I suddenly realized, oh yeah, they have to do that. Oh, I didn't. Oh, and just all of these things that you kind of, you keep on thinking that it's going to work out, and then you realize it's not. And then you realize why it can't work out. And you're just getting to that point of, oh, this is going to be really bad.
Yeah.
And I am, I'm a white guy. I cannot speak to an Asian experience because I don't have any. It's just, my friends and history. I am somebody who's Jewish. So the persecution of Jews, the Holocaust, I have that experience. So when I was watching the whole mob and what was happening, and Jacob finally being strung up, that whole thing hit me very hard. I know, on our Facebook group, hello Facebook group, love you guys. Everybody was just gutted, watching it, and I was talking to the cast members. And the cast members were saying that there was, just a lot of crying and on set, and it was heartbreaking for them to be there. What was it like for you?
Wow, it is the scene when you read it on paper. It's the mob's there, and the lynching's happening, and I didn't know anything about the Asian American history prior to this, and I did a bit of research. And even though this particular incident wasn't an exact, it's not a docu-series, but certainly this type of thing did happen in LA. I think it was in 1871. I think 1877 there was the San Francisco massacre. So reading up on it, I was quite moved, to be quite honest, and shocked. And we keep speaking about how we shot this in 2019. Yeah, we finished season 2 in 2019.
Yep.
Behold, it's 2021, and yet we're still talking about it. It's eerily in parallel to the anti-Asian sentiment that's going on right now. And reading up on it was one thing, but when we actually shot the scene, I can tell you it was. I mean, my process was, look, you read on paper, okay, Jacob's going to be lynched, but when you're on set and all the extras, all the stunt guys are there, really amping up the scene and just the vibe on set, you really are transported back to that time, and not even thinking that, oh, I'm acting now. I remember, I'll never forget this, is that the scene, or the part where I was on my knees looking out, crying for help. I remember looking up and seeing all these men around me just shouting, anti-Asian sentiment, derogatory terms. And you just go, wow, all these people, I mean, obviously we're on set and whatnot, but you just kind of transport yourself back to that time where all these people just want you dead. I can tell you now, not a lot of acting needs to be done there, because if you put yourself there, and everyone shouting at you and have this fear, I mean, this anger and hatred towards you, this one person, and they just want you to be strung up like an animal. It was terrifying. But I had the convenience and the, how should I put it? Thank goodness they shouted cut after that scene, because I just thought to myself, people back then, they didn't have that obvious luxury. And I remember this one extra came up to me and he said, well done, because I just felt bad screaming that at you and seeing your reaction to us, and he felt bad. So it was a rewarding experience in a weird way. I've never done something like that in my acting career before, and I'm really thankful for that experience, because it made me go to places that I've never been before. So that was the good side of it. And I think a lot of people, receive messages from fans and viewers watching the show saying, thank you for doing that. It was a hard watch. And I said, it is a hard watch, but I think it's a necessary watch, where people don't necessarily know the history involved with that. And now that at least they know some things like that did happen. And for some odd reason, I hope it just helps us moving forward, because we still have not moved forward, over 100 years ago, 150 years ago, or something like that. So, yeah, I just hope we progress as a society.
One would hope so, given on what happened on January 6th in the United States. We see that we really haven't. And, Perry just posted, the video camera shots of anti-Asian violence in the States, and an elderly person being, pushed from the bag by some asshole. If you're watching this, fuck you, seriously. And like, come on.
I know. I think it was Daniel Wu and Daniel Day Kim who was putting up a $25,000 reward to get that person.
Mm-hmm.
91-year-old man. What is he gonna do to you? I was horrified at it, and 2021. It's just shocking.
It's we as a society, unfortunately, and that's the hope is, as we grow, right? It's not the medieval times anymore. We have far more education, and we have far more experiences, and we have all the technology, and you would think that the society progresses, and then you see that not really. We just have more ways of getting angry at each other, and more ways of acting violently towards each other, and it is extremely sad. Extremely sad. In terms of kind of the anti-Asian sentiment, I know what's happening in the United States, because unfortunately I see it. What's happening in South Africa? Have there been any of that going on as well?
Yes. There is the anti-Asian sentiment, but I don't think in terms of the physical violence that we've witnessed happening in the US. Funny enough, there was actually a post by one of our community members saying that they experienced that anti-Asian sentiment. I mean, he was at the playground with his two kids.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody stopped and shouted COVID, and drove off. So I don't know what else was said. It could have been edited for broadcast reasons, but
yeah,
it's in here for sure. I personally haven't experienced it, but I know of several Asian people that have experienced that. And what do you do? What do you do? I think you can only educate people to a certain extent, and after that, it's kind of a mindset that's ingrained in you.
yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, I mean, look, we have racial problems in South Africa besides the anti-Asian sentiment, and I always kind of come back to, how do you get people's perception of they are not black, they are not Chinese, or whatever the case may be. It's trying to just get to know there are people. There are people like you and I who have families at home, who have kids that need to feed.
Yeah.
And we all, I know it sounds like such a cliche, but at the end of the day, if you kind of distill it down to that,
Mm-hmm.
we're all human, we all bleed bread. So,
Yes.
you know, it's crazy that we're speaking about this in 2021.
For me, kind of that realization was when I was 14. I came from the former Soviet Union. I went to the United States. The realization of people are just people. They have families. They want their kids to do well. They go to work. They have fun with their children. It really is the same thing. There are different political structures. There are different certain things that people do that are different. But for the most part, people are just people. There are good people, there are bad people. It doesn't matter, where they are or what they look like. So
Exactly.
yeah, less bit in that particular scene, and this is more just from my acting curiosity of how many takes did that scene take? I'm hoping it was just one.
Yeah, actually, I thought about it the other day, thinking, well, I'm so glad that we only did one take of it. I mean, obviously, it was broken down,
Yeah.
being out of the wagon, and then moving up until just under the. Sorry, I'm just got something that's bugging me here.
Nice.
Yeah, so we only did one take of that. Then we actually went in for close-ups, which is quite an interesting part because the close-up on the actual hanging, they put me on a platform,
Yeah.
and I was kneeling on the platform, had the rope, which was it's taut, and I had total control over how much pressure I put on myself on my neck. And that we did several takes because I had the writers and director coming to me saying, "That was great, but can you try it this way? Can you try the eyes open? Can you try it with your eyes closed?" And I think the pressure there, I mean, look, the pressure is there to actually to make the scene realistic because I found the challenge of Jacob is that Jacob wasn't in a lot of scenes. You see him here and there, but I was actually trying to make people feel for Jacob in a very short space of time. I mean, the little montage of Jacob in the beginning of episode 1 was probably the most he's had in the whole of season 1, perhaps. So I think the challenge was to make people feel for Jacob as a human being and that they can relate to him and feel for the situation he's in, taking care of his sick mother. And so that pressure was then transferred to that scene, the lynching scene, which, well, I mean, obviously you want to make the most believable scene you can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this was the close-up. Hiding behind anything in this close-up. So I had total control over the pressure I put on my neck. And I remember pushing so hard, and then I was kind of passing out, and I said, "Okay, wait, whoa! You actually have control over this, and I actually give it a bit of slack."
Yeah.
So that I had to do a few times because they wanted to try different reactions and whatnot. So yeah, we did that close up several times. But I remember afterwards, I went back to my hotel and my throat was quite sore, and even the next day I couldn't talk. So I actually went to the doctor and said, "Yeah, you damaged your inner throat." So I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I hope it was worth it after what we went through." But it was a powerful scene, and I hope people are moved by it and can take something away from it. And I think what's the beauty of Warrior is that it started out as this pulp action movie with I wouldn't say not much substance, but it was just quite linear. And then it started evolving in terms of the backstory of the characters. and then the historical aspect of everything, and it gave it a lot more weight, and it was powerful. I think 9, I mean, it was the penultimate episode, and it kind of peaked there with an easier finale in episode 10. So it definitely did build up from season 1 all the way to of season 2.
Yeah. Have you noticed that, again? All of us obviously have been trying to get season 3 and beyond. But have you noticed that? It's our pleasure. Have you noticed that since it went onto HBO Max, and now I think we're seeing signs that HBO is actually promoting it. So we're seeing more and more of that. Have you seen that there is a wider audience? Have you, kind of been able to trace, I was getting this much feedback, and now we're getting more. Have you seen that progression?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think since HBO Max, it's being on HBO Max, it definitely has given it a wider audience. I mean, Cinemax was great, but it didn't get to a lot of people. And I see a lot of comments, people saying, I didn't know about the show until now, and I just kind of stumbled onto it. And not more people know about the show because it's so great. And for sure, I think the plight of Warrior season 3 hopefully is in the fans' hands, and that HBO, hopefully they're listening. And I mean, you've seen how episode 10 ends in season 2.
Yeah,
open-ended, unresolved characters and their stories. So it has to be resolved. A show like this, I mean, I was just talking to my wife the other day saying, there is no other show like this. People say it a lot of the time, saying, it's like a Peaky Blinders. I'm like Peaky Blinders, good. I can see where they're coming from, but there's nothing else that I've seen on TV like this. And from the fans' reactions and the new fans and new viewers that have watched it, saying, wow, we won season 3. They never knew about the show. They just stumbled onto it, and they're so glad they did. Or they were told by a friend, hey, watch Warrior. It's great. So I hope the fanfare helps HBO make up that decision really quick. As time goes by, you feel, wow, it's slipping away. It's slipping away. The sets have to be destroyed because they can only, be held for a certain time, and actors go on their way. So I hope it happens. I mean, season 2, there was quite a long period between season 1 and 2. So hopefully you don't have that long a break between season 2 and 3, if there is a season 3.
We're all hoping, praying, and doing what we can for that. HBO, if you're watching, please, it's in your best interest, because this is a topical show. This is a wonderful show. You're going to get more awards for it. You should do season 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then we'll talk after that. In terms of season 3, obviously, I know kind of Jacob's arc is done, but there are ways that Jacob can come back in season 3, because Penny is not in great shape where she's in right now. There is no reason why she can't be thinking that Jacob is around, or having conversations with Jacob, or apologizing that she never got a chance to do with Jacob. So there is a way for you to come back in season 3, at least just based on this rudimentary thinking. I'm sure the writers have much better ideas. So I'm hoping that once it happens, then they'll give you a chance to come back as well.
From your lips to JT, Shannon, and Justin's ears.
Guys, yeah, I am a writer, and I'm here for anything that I can be of assistance with as it relates to this show. From one-liners to writing to promotion, I'm here. Anyway, perfect. What, as a fan, because I know you're a fan of the show as well, as a fan, what would you like to see kind of storylines for season 3?
There's so many.
I know. Like, which one do you focus on? That's the issue, right?
Yeah, so I think that's the power of the writing, is that you look at the different characters and everyone's got their unique characters and their backstories and their motivations for moving forward. I mean, Perry's character, Father June going off, that's not the end of Father June for me, and I certainly don't think the fans want that to be the end. So
No.
we briefly spoke about that, Perry and I, and I think it's, I mean, yeah, he's riding off into the sunset, but he'll be back. So there are so many. I think that for me stands out. I'm like, what? Father June's going where? Nah. For how long? And he'll be back. I mean, he came back to rescue young June. What a moment that was, to see Father June come back for his son after all that friction that they went through. So I think for me that I'm like, that for me made me think of it, like what's happening here? Why is Father June going off? Where's he going? Is he going to be back? So yeah, but so many. Yeah.
Yeah, it's we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Langley's character. There's so many. There's just, you can't settle on one, because you go, yeah, Perry's character, Father June, but then you go, oh no, but what about Penny? Penny's in the loony bin now, so it's going to happen with her. So
I know. And what's happening with Leary? Leary now is is going to be in politics. Did that hit to the chest? Did that do any serious damage to his heart? Can he not fight anymore? Like, there's so many things that need to be explored. Sophie, right? I'll just shut up now.
But you're right in that this was all leading up, and I think the writers had the way forward to the Exclusion Act, that we were heading towards that in 1892. So it would have been interesting with Leary coming to politics, and obviously Penny going into the loony bin. And there are so many avenues that Warrior can find, and interesting avenues. So for me, I think everyone's got their own go forward in how the characters are evolving.
Yep. And then the one fun kind of realization was from talking to Rich Ting, who plays Bolo in season 1, that we all wanted Bolo to come back. So Derek Chen, hey Derek, you're awesome, said, listen, why not have a twin? Bolo has a twin, and then the twin returns. And I brought that up to Rich, and he's like, you know what? There was actually discussion. JT has in his mind that Bolo has a twin, and the twin comes back, and it's I'm gonna stop now because I know probably more than I should say. So, but there's all sorts of cool things that are meant for seasons 3 and beyond. So HBO, please, get the job done. Anyway. So, last but not least, because of unfortunately not enough of an audience for Warrior, but enough of great quality of work and people getting nominated, do you find that people got a chance to see more and more of you, and that opened doors for you in other projects? Have you seen that yet?
No, I haven't. I mean, I think I'm hoping that it's because of COVID. I know they've been filming quite well, a lot more than what we have been in South Africa. I mostly work on international productions. So on that front, there's been very little happening. I mean, obviously now with the new variant, the South African variant of and it's put I think maybe productions that were gearing up to start filming this year. I'm not even too sure what's happening, because I was already in talks with productions, international productions that we're going to shoot here, and we're busy discussing that. But I know several of them have actually delayed their starts. So it's really anyone's guess as to when they will start filming. So as of now, a direct impact from Warrior to what I have been offered. It hasn't happened as such, and I'm hoping it's because of COVID. Yeah. So I mean, I think with everyone or any actor, you do as best as you can on the last project, and hopefully that will see you forward to the next one. So yeah, we just wait and see. I think there are more important things right now. I mean, I know there's a lot of everyone. It's an uncanny situation. We find all ourselves in the same situation, fighting the same challenge. But yeah, I think we'll wait and see in terms of what impact Warrior has on future projects for me. But right now, I know it's all been put on hold. And I think it's been a delay, obviously, with and then everyone is just raring to go to shoot because I mean the world needs content. There needs to be new things filmed and whatnot. And I feel that this year, once hopefully the vaccine gets rolled out extensively and everywhere that needs it, that the floodgates will be opened, and the film and television industry are just going to be flooded. So we just have to wait and see.
I hope so. In the meantime, Vancouver, Atlanta, Chicago, those are places where you can that are still shooting, knock on wood, and are doing well. So talk to your agency what you can do to get.
I just spoke to Hoon Lee, who plays Chow on Warrior. I just spoke to him the other day, and he's busy filming. I'm like, what? Yeah. Okay. I mean, he was talking about the COVID protocols that are pretty stringent.
Yeah.
And he mentioned one thing: the film industry is one industry that will find a solution to any problem. I mean, filmmaking is problem solving at the end of the day.
Pretty much.
Pandemic, what? It's a matter of finding ways around these challenges that we face, and they are filming.
Yeah, listen, Chow owes you big time. So see if Hoon Lee can pull some strings and get some work for you.
Chow, thanks.
Yeah. Hoon, if you're watching, you're always welcome on the show. By the way, I'd love to talk to you and see what you can do for your friend. Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate you jumping on. I know some of this stuff is not easy to talk about, but unfortunately, we do have to bring it out. So thank you. I hope things, the floodgates, as you mentioned, I hope they open really soon because you're a great artist and we need more of your work.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. And thanks to everybody for tuning in into another episode of The Love of Acting. We know you love Warrior. We know you love acting as much as I do. So I appreciate you doing it with me. Thank you.
Yeah. Be safe, everyone.
Yeah, everyone be safe. Again, things are getting better. The vaccines are on the way. We're doing, in the US, we're doing 1.3 million vaccine doses a day, but we still have a long way to go. So it's Super Bowl day in the United States. So no big parties, stay home, or a very small group of friends, that already had it. Okay, take care, everybody.